Joe. Can I see a quick question? Can this continue, Mr. Brown?
Every 23 months.
Has it been 23 months?
It was done in November 2018.
Okay. That's 23 months also?
They can be 23 months.
See what's the other one?
Just any resolution or ordinance going to a proposition of publication.
Oh, the restaurant. They're in an executive session.
It's not so.
That's always good. Hi.
Hi, Rhonda.
How you doing?
Okay. How's everything with you?
Fine. How did it, did you get any, did you walking with, I like the glasses.
Thanks. These are just the backup side. Broke the other curve.
Oh, I like this hair on you. So did he contact you or you contacted him?
Who, Mike?
His mom?
Oh, who?
Honest election.
Was it, it was on Facebook. He was looking for somebody for his mom, I think, to take care of, any care of.
Oh, Terry. He didn't get back to me.
Oh,
Some of these people are more comfortable having these emails.
yeah.
Yeah, I see it a lot. And I would be my guess is what happened. So how's your mom?
She, you know what, she calmed down, she likes the place, she says the food is good.
Okay.
Well, she hated the food before, she was just finding all kinds of things to complain about. I'm waiting to, I told her, Gigi, she's going to come, and I told her where she's coming up. I'm a little more cautious after all this
I've
stuff.
seen her one of these meetings before. I think it was earlier this year or last year.
She asked me where I was coming, I said, well, you're coming up.
Figure it out. So I always went
Then it has to go to the house.
Yes, I need water.
One vote, we have 37 Republicans.
Yes, and we saw tree install.
No, I saw it on, I think it was on Newsweek. Watch Newsweek. I stopped watching it.
And and so they make one
No, I didn't think so. But they wasn't insisting. I think they got discussed.
they've learned that.
I can search out if you want.
No, I think it was in there.
Great for the environment. It saves us money.
That's my head.
Yeah. They were complete. And this tree
And he's got everything in his account. So.
He was out from the house when we were hiking.
Thanks for sending that.
Yeah, no problem.
It was a nice hike. We missed Busy Bee though.
I'll stay.
They're closing it.
It closed as soon as the second now.
Yeah. Well, Mayor Judson wouldn't impose it.
Yeah, we tried to keep it in there, but they didn't want any problem. And
It's
that
in my
was-
back.
And then Dylan wanted to.
It's in your
like,
back.
not in.
They're on the Mchenry side of the
Really?
I don't know if it's that far out there, but Norton McKinney speaks of jurisdiction out there.
Well, they're gonna cut some butts, Mr. Anderson, is your place of business, is that Mchenry or Wonder Lake? We're wondering about the ZB.
What?
Is, your barber shop is in Wonder Lake, right? Okay, they must be in Wonder Lake.
It must be Wonder Lake.
Okay, we were wondering about Busy Bee. I said, well, you're right across, you would know.
Okay. I think you.
Yeah, well, no, we were checking to see if they were making, he thought they were in Mchenry, I said, no, they were in Wonder Lake. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, what?
Never took out your quota thing, huh?
Now, Mchenry County Police Department would have jurisdiction over the ZBA about.
Oh, yeah, that's.
But I don't know if they're.
No, just.
Well, we're talking about places that because the second round is going to be closed.
I'll cover that. Thank you.
No, we're just trying to figure out jurisdictions. Right. Well, busy meeting decided not to go against it, decided to comply with the shutdown.
Okay, let's 7 p.m. Let's raise the financial relations. Order also.
Craig, I have not started the meeting yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on. Gotta wait the clock in the phone.
30 seconds early.
Oh, I gotta count this up.
Is the meeting done?
Yes.
Welcome to WebEx.
The phone system.
Your entry is not valid. Enter your attendee ID or the numeric meeting password followed by pound. Your entry.
Agile started in the office first.
Sorry, just a second till we get all our electronics working.
Silence is deafening. Silence is golden. We had a song about that.
Silence is golden. It's the sound of silence.
Simon got a phone call.
I thought they weren't the original.
Silence is on.
Yeah.
Welcome to WebEx.
There's there was a redo of another article version.
Enter your attendee ID or the new...
Now it's been done by Hard Rock.
All right, we are now good. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, if you could take the roll call.
Trustees Anderson,
Here.
Rachel,
Here.
Beer,
Here.
Wojciechowski. Here. Supervisor Adams,
Here.
all present.
Okay, thank you. We need to get the public comment.
What is your public comment first?
Yes.
Any public comment at this time? Any public comment at this time? Any public comment? Last call.
Okay,
Right, go off the list.
we have public comment in the audience here. Tyler is here first.
Good evening, gentlemen. I don't think this is on. Check. Good evening, gentlemen. Veterans Day just passed. A day we as Americans honor those who were drafted and those who volunteered to defend the country we love. There's another related topic that I, as a veteran myself, think needs a bit more attention: stolen valor. Stolen valor is a term for a behavior of military imposters, individuals who lie about their military service. 4 U.S.C. Chapter 1, Section 9 says members of the armed forces and veterans who are present but not in uniform may render the military salute. All other persons present should face the flag and stand at attention with their right hand over their heart. I've noticed Mr. Veer, often, but not always, renders a military salute during the Pledge of Allegiance before these meetings. I have it on good authority that Mr. Veer considers himself a veteran because of his short year of time at West Point. Mr. Veer, you might not be aware of the Pennsylvania case Scott Blake versus State Civil Service Commission. In it, Blake tried to claim the veteran status after having only completed 2 years at West Point before transferring to another school. The Pennsylvania Supreme Court determined that Blake did not qualify as a veteran, as he had not entered the 3rd year at West Point, when his service obligation would commence. Justice Donahue wrote, in the opinion, Blake went to college. He did not serve in the armed forces of the United States, and thus he is not a soldier. If Blake's 2 years at West Point with voluntary transfer to another school does not qualify, then I fail to see how your single year ending in an involuntary separation due to academic reasons qualifies. Although you are not in violation of the Stolen Valor Act of 2013, as you are not claiming any specific protected award for valor, your continued insistence on calling yourself a veteran is an insult to all of my brothers and sisters, past, present, and future, who have donned the uniform in defense of this nation, and still qualifies as stolen valor. Thank you.
Okay, Rhonda Sporer.
Hello. Okay. First you try to get rid of the township, then you try to get rid of the express senior buses. Despite being told why the other systems didn't work for many people. You questioned the transportation insurance company that was here when you received a huge refund, like they were possibly taking money from us instead of giving us the township money, which if I recall correctly was about $11,000, but I could be wrong on that. Now you want to control the road, Mchenry Road District, so you can try to ruin that also. The Township Road District runs very well without your help. The roads are kept up much better than the county and state roads. Have you not listened to the McHenry County Board's comments? Keep your hands off. Don't try to break that also.
And lastly, I have Robert Beltran.
Robert Beltran, 2814 Brigner Road, McHenry. Is this clear enough with the mask on? Are you understanding me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't prepare any comments, but I just can't let it go. You're considering, once again, this will be your second attempt to dissolve the road district. You didn't get the message the first time. That I don't understand. We want our road district. We want our highway commissioner. Now you say you're going to consolidate it into the township. Do you have a plan for that? Is that a plan that you can hand over to the next board, the one that will replace you when you guys are gone? Which I'm making an assumption you guys will be gone. You're going to just dump this in their lap? That's very disrespectful. If you don't have a complete comprehensive plan for that, even in the event that you guys are still the trustees, how are you going to manage that? Even if you hire a supervisor, which is probably going to cost just as much, if not more, probably more than the highway commissioner does. How are you going to be managing the supervisor? He's going to have to come to you for major expenditures about equipment and procedures and specifications that you don't have any idea what he's talking about. When he comes to you and says, you know, I'd like to get a nuclear densometer so I can see how well the roads are compacted. You know, will you have any idea what he's talking about, whether it's something that's worthwhile? But he says, you know, the roads have been a little unstable. I think we need to change the specification from AASHTO T90 to AASHTO T180. Do you know what he's talking about? Do you know anything about moisture density curves? How to achieve normal, appropriate compaction? You know, what if he starts talking about California bearing ratios? There are just so many things that the people managing the roads need to know. I'm sure none of you have any idea. So I don't think you know what you're getting into. That's all.
I don't know if you all saw, but one of our county board members from our district passed away. And I think it might be appropriate at the township here, because he's from Mchenry Township, that we take a moment of silence, if you don't mind working on that. I guess I should say his name. Chuck Wheeler, one of our township, our county board members from Mchenry Township, passed away. I believe it was yesterday. I'm not sure the exact time or date or whatever, but anyway, I think it's appropriate that we just take a minute of silence and remember Chuck and everything that he's done from a public service standpoint. Thank you.
You're muted. You can press star 6 anytime to unmute yourself. You are now allowed to unmute yourself anytime by pressing star 6. You can now unmute yourself by pressing star 6. You can now unmute yourself by pressing star 6. You're unmuted.
Okay. Thank you for the remembrance of Chuck Wheeler. Moving on, item C, approval of the minutes from the October 8th meeting.
I think there was one more public comment.
Oh, I'm sorry.
On that list.
I am sorry, I made a mistake. Linda Toller. I crossed her off by accident.
Linda Toller, Wonder Lake. Evening. Tonight, in the midst of the worst wave we have seen of this pandemic so far, I thought I'd talk about togetherness. I may not know every person living in this township, but I consider all of you to be my friends, my brothers and sisters, as we face the hardships that have been put upon us by these unprecedented and uncertain times. And as Mr. Rakestraw has said so many times, we all need to be able to rely on our friends and family when things get tough, help each other through it. And I have an idea for how we can accomplish this, with the most people having to do very little. If all of us were to get together, set aside a couple of bucks a month to be collected yearly, we could set up some kind of pool that when people are really hurting due to things like illness or loss, they could dip into it to pay for things like food, heat, and electricity. We would of course need some people to make sure that the need is there and keep track of the amount available in the pool, but the effort required by the vast majority would be minimal. We could even find a way to tie it into the taxes you already pay every year, so you wouldn't even have to remember to chip in your share to be eligible should the need arise. Simple. Oh wait, we had something like that, didn't we? Well, how about a bus service that helps the elderly and disabled? Oh right. Well, at least we still have a roadship district that goes above and beyond in their service of the township. What do you mean for now? Why would anyone not want any of these things? To save a few bucks?
You're muted.
Are we really the type of people who value the dollar over human decency? Are we really that shallow?
Unmute yourself anytime by pressing
My
star
friends,
6.
my brothers and
You can
sisters,
now unmute yourself by
rest
pressing
assured
star
that
6.
we are not the shallow ones. We have said no loud and clear over and over again to the dismantling of all the ways we can help those who fall on hard times. We have said no to valuing temporary savings over the well-being of those in our community. We are not to blame for this. Those who seem not to understand the meaning of the word no, they are to blame. So we must keep saying nein, non, nu, niet, no, no, no in every way we can. Maybe one will get through. I know you're tired. We all are. But we just have to hold on a little longer. Stay strong, Mchenry County. Stay strong and stay safe. Thank you.
Okay, that now ends public comment. I didn't miss anybody, did I? Yet? Okay. Approval of the minutes of the regular township board meeting on October 8th.
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Can we have a motion to approve the
I'll
minutes?
second.
And a second. Any discussion? No discussion being heard, we'll have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes?
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Ammons, yes. Mr. Beard?
No.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Minutes passed. Now we need a motion approval for receipts and bills for the town fund.
I have that. We, the undersigned members of the McHenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 12th day of November 2020 examined and audited amounts due with the August specified in the claims attached and hereby authorized payments of the same. Total reimbursement to be approved, nothing. Total bills to be approved, $29,396.93. Total bills paid prior to audit, $47,071.26. Total to be approved, $76,468.19. Total receipts, $9,907.84. I move to accept the receipts and pay the bills for the town fund.
I'll second the motion. Any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
There's a bill for 4 buses for Pace, and
Yes.
do we still need 4 buses?
We do right now, but we're still evaluating if we're going to still need 4 or not. Which we'll do by January when we see if the senior center opens again. If it doesn't, then we'll probably send a bus back.
Well, what does that mean, after a month, or what? What's the evaluation
A
period?
evaluation period to see if the ridership goes up if the senior center opens again. That's the evaluation. So a month, yeah.
And who makes that determination? The board, or you unilaterally?
I could make that determination if it so pleases you.
Well,
So pleases the board, I mean.
well, then can you give us a report at the January meeting?
It would be at your February meeting, right?
That'll be the conclusion, but I want to know the actual specifics.
Oh, okay, sure, I can do that.
And then on the Think Big bill for Facebook,
Yes.
there's a charge of about $450, right? But then there's a $50 advertising charge?
That's part of you've asked this before. That's how she gets the message out, and it's always been part of the bill.
Steve, can you use your mic, please?
What do you mean, when you say she gets the message out, who is
The,
it?
the company, Think Big, Go Local.
Is it turned on?
It's been there every month, Steve.
Yeah, I know, and it's,
Still can't hear you.
It's a way that you boom your message through Facebook, that's all.
Put it up to your mouth.
so why is it a separate bill and what, not part of the general bill?
It could be, it should really just be part of the general bill. I can ask her to change that, or the company to change that.
And what does it actually reflect? The charges, the specific charges for Facebook advertising?
I'm going to help on this. You pay so much a month and it moves your message through, correct?
You're too close, I can't understand you.
You pay so much a month to move your message through
For what?
for Facebook advertising.
Yes.
Right.
What's the question?
What is
We
that?
have Facebook advertising with Think Big, Go Local.
Yeah. And what is that $50 for?
For advertising on Facebook.
Right.
For putting up our stuff.
For putting up our stuff,
Yeah,
basically.
like when we have the recycling or
Yeah.
with the COVID, whatever, the meetings.
The meetings, everything. Gets it all out there so everybody can
Right.
see it. And we can change that to just be incorporated into the regular bill.
Well, then what's the regular bill for?
And services offered, services to do the site.
So where is it actually being advertised?
On our Facebook page.
On our Facebook page.
So it's just site maintenance?
I suppose you could call it that if you'd like, yes.
No, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
figure
yeah.
out why we're
Yeah.
getting charged.
Correct, it would be site maintenance, that's another way of putting it, yes.
But the $450 is for site maintenance too.
Well, as I said, should all be
The
combined.
site maintenance is just for the regular stuff, and as they have special things that are going on, that is the advertising.
Right.
So That's a blanket charge for anything new for that month?
It's a blanket fee, yes.
Yes.
It's been that way for 2 years now.
Well, what changed then?
Nothing's changed.
Well, what happened 2 years ago?
We didn't have Facebook, but we took away the newsletter, so now we have Facebook because everything's being done on social media.
And how many people actually use it?
It's thousands, I believe.
Yeah, it is in the thousands. We can have her give us that information, but yes.
Was it 2,000 or 50,000? I mean,
No, I don't know.
We can get the information for you.
I can get the information for the next meeting.
And then can we ask if we can dispense with the extra charge then, since it seems
I
to be?
can ask whatever you
Sure.
want me to ask.
We should incorporate it all into one charge.
Well, no, I'm not, I mean, just to have the 450 some odd dollars instead of 500. Because it doesn't seem to me that anything new is being done.
So you would like the bill to just reflect $500?
He wants a reduced bill, yes.
Yeah, I don't understand what the differential is for. It's advertising what, but every month they're supposed to maintain it with what we add anyway, so why is it a separate charge?
Because there's always different things going on, whether it be road work happening, road closures, bridge closures, weather, whatever it is.
So who's in charge of that from the township?
In charge of,
putting these changes up?
usually it'll be the highway commissioner, the assessor, the supervisor, our operations manager.
So you're telling me that they won't put these things on unless we pay this additional $50 fee, even though we're paying for it?
That was part of what their agreement was, yes.
Correct.
And they haven't increased it in 2 years, so.
When does this come up for review again?
You can come up for review whenever you want. I don't believe there's a signed contract for a specific amount of time.
All right, then can we ask for a reduction in the bill?
Yes.
Because it seems
I
to
will
be
talk, yeah.
duplicative charge.
Okay.
Well, that's for reduction. Okay, any other discussion on that? All right?
Yes,
Yes.
is this a bill sent by Facebook itself, or is there
No, it's a service that does it.
a third party?
Yes, it's a third party.
When you put a message on there, if you don't push it out, no one sees it. That's what that does, it pushes it out.
Correct.
Well, isn't that done by people wanting to find out the information and soliciting the website?
That way also, but this also pushes it out further so more people can see it. Agree. Well, that's for reduction then. Okay. Okay, any other comments? Okay, we have a first and a second, and then the
Town fund.
town fund. Take a vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Byrd?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
No. I have a problem.
What's your problem?
There's a bill here for $13,940 for an appeal of a frivolous lawsuit that was already turned down. And let me add to that, that's on top of $10,000 that was already spent on this lawsuit. So far, we're talking $24,000 and $25,000, and this is still ongoing.
Correct.
So I can't vote for this.
Well, you can exempt yourself from that one bill?
I will do that.
Okay. So, we have, what? 4 yeses and 1 exemption from, a legal bill. Okay, so that passes. Motion to approve the receipts and bills for the general road and bridge fund.
Total reimbursements to be approved,
Use your
zero.
mic, please.
Mike, here's your mic.
Use the mic.
Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $36,589.71. Total bills prior to audit, $26,307.09. Total to be approved, $62,896.80. Total receipts, $22,250.47. And make a motion that we approve the receipts and pay the bills for the road and bridge fund.
I'll second the motion, since we're hearing the word. Any discussion of the general road and bridge fund bill? Let's take a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rachel? Sorry. Yes. Mr. Bird?
Yes.
And Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Adams, yes, so it passes. Motion for approval of receipts and bills for the permanent hard road fund.
For the permanent hard road fund.
Correct.
Total reimbursements to be approved, 0. Total bills to be approved, $328,759.81. Total bills paid prior to audit, $214,323.81. Total to be approved, $543,083.62. Total receipts, $286,999.94. I'll make a motion to accept the receipts and pay the bills.
Second.
Quiet. Second motion, any questions?
You gotta take the mask off, I can't hear you.
He said I'll second the motion. Mr. Anderson, do you have a question or concern?
No, I second motion. I have-
Oh, you're seconding the motion.
Second motion, I don't have a question.
Okay, then Mr. Anderson seconded the motion. Okay, any discussion on the permanent hard road fund? Okay, none being heard, let's do a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Beard?
No.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes, okay. Motion carries. Item G, fund transfers, we don't need to do any of that at this time. New business, approval of the levy for the Mchenry Township Road District and Permanent Harbor Road Fund for 2021. The levy's in your packet. It suggests the levy. And it is flat, same as it has been for the last number of years. No increase whatsoever.
I might need a correction, I don't, but if we have a flat levy, we're still taking whatever that levy increase is, that is still compounding off of last year's money, is it not?
No.
Sure.
What do you mean?
It must compound, right?
Mr.
Because if it's a zero levy, nothing's going to compound, but if you have any kind of an increase, that's compounding on that is multiplied against the money that we brought in last year, is that correct?
The money we brought in last year would be spent by the end of the year. What I'm saying.
I'm not talking about what's going to be extended is when you take that rate, that increase against last year's money.
There is no increase, so that's not.
I think you're confused there. There is no, what the levy's what the levy spells out is the exact amount that we will request. There is no increase in the amount of money that we're requesting. It's below what we could request. I think what you might be referring to is how we could increase our levy based on certain percentages. We've chosen for the last 10 years to either keep it flat or reduce it by 10%. So no, we'll collect $3 million just like we did this past year, just like we did for the last 5 or more years. There will be no increase. As a matter of fact, a lot of people have seen decreases because what's happened is you've seen growth, some new building, and as that new building comes in, the pie gets larger, so your piece gets smaller of the pie that's paid to the road district. So there is no increase. It's a $3 million flat levy. Any percentages that could increase or anything else doesn't, we've chosen not to take advantage of that.
Well, we're dealing with the town fund, correct?
No, this is the road bridge fund.
The road and bridge fund, the road and bridge fund.
So, asking for the exact same levy, flat, nothing, no increase, no nothing. And legally, we would be able to take an increase, but we've chosen not to.
Craig, I have a question.
Yeah.
Who says we've chosen not to?
I mean, the road commissioner's chosen not to, apparently. Shouldn't say we.
We're talking about a single levy, right? For the road district.
Can I interrupt a minute?
Let's hear from
Don't we
you.
need a motion first and second before we have a discussion?
We did, I believe, did we not? No.
I didn't know we did.
Then let's go backwards. Need a motion to approve the Mchenry Township Road Bridge tax levy.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, I'll second the motion. Now we're in discussion.
Thank you.
For purposes of clarification, just want to make sure that the levy ordinance that you're looking at is that RB 111220, which is actually 2 levies. It's an aggregate of both the general road and bridge and the permanent harbor road. It's a combined levy together.
Any further discussion on that levy?
Yeah, and there's going to have to be a drastic cut in the levy.
I didn't hear what he said. What was that?
He wants a drastic cut in the levy, is what he said.
Okay.
No, we're in a crisis.
The road district.
We're in a crisis in the state. The revenues are not there. The taxpayers are being strangled in this township.
Those taxpayers are being strangled in this
Whoa,
township
whoa, whoa, why are you talking?
for the same reason, because it's impacted by the road district, and the road district
Are we
is
having a
right there.
discussion of the board, or has it been taken over by the road district?
Well, the road districts, this is their suggested levy, so that's what I'm.
This is their levy, period.
Okay, why is it even presented to us? Do we approve it, or what?
Yes, you do approve it.
Okay, so we're going to be cutting the levy by 50%.
Mr. Militello, is there a role to, maybe we need some clarification on what the role in approving the levy. Are they approving that the levy was properly presented, or do they have the authority to adjust the levy?
Their authority is to look at the levy, if there's a line item within that levy, to adjust it. I would caution the board, as far as the levy is concerned, if you look at the levy, and I'm looking at the levy relative to the 2020 audit from the accountants, the cash on hand at the end of the year, of March of 2020, was $581,000. The total assets for the whole road and bridge fund altogether at the end of March of 2020, total assets for the whole road district, for the road and bridge fund was $1,954,000, and that was taking into consideration the property taxes that were to be received. With that said, when you look at accumulation in dollars, you look at the last 3 years of the average amounts, and the road and bridge is literally at 1.1, which is
regardless,
barely 12 months.
We're at a point where we've done incredible things with the amount that we have. We haven't increased it for 10 years. Perhaps the rest of the taxing bodies should do the same, and we wouldn't be in this problem. The issue is not the road district with our taxing problems in the McHenry County, McHenry Township. It falls in a lot of other different areas. It is not the road districts that's causing the problem. The road districts is probably some of the best spent money in the whole state. So I'd encourage you, you can do what you want, but $3 million flat levy for this long, I think we're spending our money pretty wisely and it's well spent.
What's the reserve? You're the treasurer, Mr. Adams, for the road district, so what is the expected reserve at the end of this fiscal year for the road district, both of these? Since they've been combined, unlike other townships which actually have 2 separate levies, they've been combined into this one, $3 million. Okay? So I want to know what the reserve is of the road district. Why don't we do, as of right now, what is the reserve?
I think if you don't mind me answering, Mr. Adams, Supervisor Adams.
I don't, because you have.
I can tell you, as of March, you had $307,000 in reserves for the permanent hard road and a little over $700,000 in the road and bridge. And that's your total assets.
That's assets, though. He's asking just reserve funds.
So even if Jim has total funds, it's $1 million. Our annual budget is approximately $2.6 million. So we have maybe a third of the year or less than a third of the year in reserves. We are running extremely thin on everything, and we are doing more than we ever did before, especially when you consider all the work that we've done on the non-dedicated roads to bring them up to a standard that can be acceptable by the township.
And this was something that was never done in the past, right?
Non-dedicated roads, the way they're handled now is different than they were handled in the past, and that was a decision that was made by the county board, not the township.
When you say, Mr. Militello, the assets, what are you talking about, assets? You mean the capital assets of the road district?
No, I'm talking about all the assets. I'm talking about
the cash assets.
The cash assets, the cash and cash equivalents, any restricted cash and cash equivalents, any investments, any inventory, any security deposits, basically all the assets that Eder and Casella look at in doing the audit for the township and the road district. They say these are all the assets of the road district. And all the assets, they have in the audit two line items. One, the road and bridge fund, and the permanent road fund, which is addressed in the levy. For the permanent road, you literally had $307,000, and the road and bridge was $581,000, and then cash equivalents or restricted funds was about $156,000. Just to give you an idea of where you've been as a road district. From 3 years ago, you were at about 1.26 point as far as capital, and now you're down to 0.821, and that's including anticipation of a levy coming in. So you're significantly dropped in the last 3 years, as well did the township.
I don't understand what you mean by including the expected levy. Okay.
What happens is the way the auditor did the audit, they took it as a receivable, meaning here's your asset. Well, you can either do one of two ways. You can either do it cash on hand in a cash basis or an accrual basis when you account for it. And so in this case, when you look at accumulation and the monies coming in for the township and or road district, you look at what their balances are, and then any cash to be coming in from any levies. And so when I gave you that number of $1,954,000 for the total for the road and bridge, that included That includes an anticipation of monies coming in from a levy, not that you even have it.
Well, what is it?
Well, another.
He wants 3 million in this levy.
Okay.
So why?
Break those apart.
It doesn't make any sense.
It does, but you gotta break that apart. You gotta break $1.5 million into the road and bridge, and then you have to break another $1.5 million into the permanent harbor road. And when you break those two apart, you're barely enough to cover a year.
We literally are at a point where we are at best breaking even and actually depleting our reserves over the last several years, doing regular routine things.
Well, we've had an overaccumulation.
Well, we can debate that from now until the
No,
cows
it's
come
not
home.
debatable, it's a fact.
Well, that's
We
your-
have had an overaccumulation, correct?
That is your opinion.
It's not an opinion.
Yeah, well, it is an opinion.
It's a fact.
It's an opinion that you think it was an overaccumulation, period. That's what it is, an opinion.
Disabuse the road commissioner on this point?
The overaccumulation is relative to when there's dollars that are over a certain rate. It was 2.0, it got moved to 2.5. There was an overaccumulation at one time back in 2015.
Was there ever a specific number that we were not allowed to exceed? Was there ever a number until recently established?
No.
Thank you. So, was it an opinion that we were overaccumulating, or was it a fact that we were overaccumulating?
Well, we're paying on lawsuits for overaccumulation.
We paid on a lawsuit, let's be clear about that too. We paid on a lawsuit because we didn't want to waste money on legal fees for attorneys like you. That's what we did.
All right.
Get out of it and move on.
We don't
That's
need
what we
any
did.
ad hominem attacks, okay,
No
Mr.
attack,
Adams,
no
will you
attack.
please?
No attack.
So, we're at $3 million. We've been very frugal with our funds. We've accomplished a lot of good things. And I'd recommend that you stay at $3 million. If you choose to do something different than that, I guess that's up to you. And we'll pursue what's right for the road district from that point forward.
Well, what does that mean? Are you threatening us?
I wouldn't threaten you. I'm telling you, if you change the levy from $3 million to something different than $3 million, I will look at what options we have to keep the road district solvent, period.
It seems to me that the road district just expands to whatever the levy is.
The road district hasn't expanded anything for the last 10 years. And it went down by 10%.
Not last year.
What?
Not last year.
It went down from $3.3 million to $3 million, and it stayed at $3 million for the last 4 years, if I recall correctly.
Well, the motto of the township is what?
To do more with less, and we have.
Now we're going to do even more.
Well, I guess we'll go down that avenue if that's what you wish to do.
People don't seem to understand.
No, people understand perfectly clear. People understand perfectly clear where the issue is and where the problems are. And the issue is not with the township road district. That's what you seem to miss. The issues are with the big government. That's where the problems are. They are not with the township road district. It's money that's spent very efficiently.
How many employees work for the road district as of today?
14 or 15.
Well, which is it?
I don't know. You want me to go? You want me to sit here? Why is it relevant? Why don't you tell me that? What are you trying to get at?
You're the chief operating officer of the outfit, and you don't even know how many people you have under you.
We have, because I don't count them daily, and it's a.
Does it fluctuate that much?
It does actually. As a matter of fact, we just left, and we just hired another person. And we've cut since the beginning of the year 2 additional positions.
Since the beginning of what year? The fiscal year or the calendar year?
The fiscal year. Or the calendar, we'll say the calendar year because I'm not sure exactly when they left. Probably since the fiscal year.
And what were those positions?
Employees, road district employees.
But what was their actual job description?
Work on the road crews.
And why were they let go?
They didn't. They moved on to higher paying jobs with the county, or not with the county, with the state in the tollway. bigger government. They moved on to bigger government to make more money. It's that simple.
Yeah, and it's our job to put.
Your job is to review if what the road district is doing is correct with what's stated by the law. That's what I understand.
You decided to enter into all kinds of intergovernmental agreements.
I have the authority to do that, yes.
Right, and that signifies to me that you are overstaffed.
Well, I don't think so. It seems to me that it's efficient use of services. Seems kind of crazy that we would plow roads and pick up a snow plow as we go through Ringwood or as we go through Wonder Lake on roads that we share with them. Seems like idiotic not to do that. Seems idiotic not to be striping those roads as we stripe the roads for us. So if you think that's an issue, that's your prerogative.
So, what is the amount of money that's in reserve as of, let's just say, the start of this month for the road district?
According to the documents that I received, for a permanent hard road, we have in reserve $62,978 according to what was given to me today. $62,978. According to what was given to me today, which was in your packet, on page 23, the reserves for the general road and bridge were $80,366. There are no reserves.
Then where does the almost $1 million come from?
Future money.
That's money that comes in next year.
But you're
pays the bills for next year.
But you're banking on things that haven't even been approved. It's not a real receivable.
No, that levy was already approved. The levy is for this year on money that we collect next year. So it is coming.
But we determine what the levy is now.
For next year.
Right.
And that is collected the following year.
Yeah, but you can't have an accounting based on a receivable. It's just a speculation.
That number is from the auditor looking at last year's levy for monies that are coming in this year.
Yes.
What you're doing tonight is monies anticipated for next year based on, so that's
This money levied next year that will be collected the following year. Just like last year's levy was for this year, which is collected next year. Taxes are collected 1 year in arrears.
It says right on the ordinance that it's collectible in 2022.
The ordinance doesn't even post the reserves, okay? Now,
the ordinance doesn't require to post the reserves.
Yeah, well, maybe this board does require it. Okay? So look at the October 2020 Town of Mchenry Road, PHR, Statement of Net Assets.
Sure.
This $1.4 million property tax receivable.
Yes.
Okay, receivable when?
Next year.
Why doesn't it say that? It's just a strange.
It's an accounting practice. It is money. It is money that is due, that will be due us after the first of the year. Because it is taxes that occur this year that are paid next year.
Okay, so let's get to the brass tacks on this.
Sure.
So on January 1st, 2021, or thereabouts, you'll be expecting to get another $1.4 million.
Through the year, through next year.
It doesn't happen all at once. It comes.
You're right. We will be expecting to get $2.8 million over the next 2 years. One of them, 1.4, will occur next year, and 1.4 will occur the following year. That's what we'll expect.
Well, none of that is on here.
But the 1.4 for next year is right there. And after we get to the next budget year or the next year, it'll be 2.8 until portions are collected, and then that'll be depleted down to 1.4 again, which is collected the following year. It's not that complicated.
It's very complicated.
No, it's
because
not.
these figures are just thrown onto a paper with no explanation.
Well,
Okay?
it seems like most of the people understand it, and I'm sorry that you don't seem to be able to understand it, but it's pretty clear to me.
You haven't even presented copies to the public that's here.
It's been online, is that correct? It's been available for review.
Yeah, okay, well, perhaps you could explain the 1.4 million that shows up on this asset sheet.
The 1.4 million that shows up
As
on
a
it.
property tax receivable.
Yes.
Is that going to be paid in this fiscal year?
No, it is paid in the next fiscal year. It is collected in the next fiscal year. That's why if you look further down, you'll see that it's actually removed at one point, deferred property tax levy, 1.39 million. And the difference there is the 1.4 million plus the 7,000 that we anticipate we won't collect out of the 1.4 million to get to the 1.393 million.
How many miles of road does the road district now?
I believe it's 110 currently.
And is that expected to increase next year?
It will increase because we are continually bringing non-dedicated roads in. Actually, no, we've reached the non-dedicated roads that we have accepted into the road district. And if the county decides to extend that program for other non-dedicated roads, there could be more roads in the future.
And there could be less if municipalities are next.
Absolutely.
So that's just mumbo jumbo.
Well, you can consider it mumbo jumbo if that's the way you want to put it.
So it's 110 miles is what you're telling me as of now.
There's 110 miles approximately that we are responsible for. We also provide road and bridge funds and MFT funds for another, I believe it's 6 miles of road or more. I would have to double check that. Of existing non-dedicated roads that were not included in the program through the county.
Could you explain that last one that you gave?
Sure. If there's a road that's a non-dedicated road within the township, we have the ability to assist those non-dedicated roads with their maintenance and long-term upgrading. We can take MFT funds and allot them to them, 50% of MFT funds, and allot it to those roads to do things such as maintenance, snow plowing, purchasing of salt, patching of roads, gravel placement, things like that, to assist those non-dedicated roads as a maintenance process. We can also take 50% of what they pay in those individuals on those roads, those properties on those roads. We can take 50% of that fund, the road and bridge funds, of 50% of what they pay into it, and put it toward that they can utilize for upgrading their roads for the eventual incorporating of those roads into the township road district system.
Is that in the pipeline right now?
What's that?
Is that in the pipeline?
We continually use those funds to do exactly that.
What's the property tax receivables expected to be received this fiscal year?
Property tax for which fund? It'll be identical to see what you see. $1.4 million for the permanent hard road.
No, for this fiscal year.
That's what it would have been this fiscal year also.
But you've already received the lion's share of that
Okay,
already.
so let's look at our budget for the permanent hard road. Property tax, $1.4 million. General road and bridge. Property tax, $1,045,000. Those are the funds that we expect to get every year. Okay? And they haven't changed, again, for the last 4 years, 3 years maybe. Because they were, as I said earlier, we were at $3.3 million in levy, we reduced to $3 million and kept it there. So, there's no accumulation of money. We are doing good things. If you read the report that I submitted to you, you see the kinds of savings that we've started to do with upgrading our roads from the non-dedicated roads so that we can save money and actually get those under the system and they can be maintained publicly. So, again, I'm glad to answer anybody else's questions as far as it relates to the $3 million. And I'd ask that you approve the levy because it's very reasonable. It's been there. It's money well spent. It's spent efficiently and consciously.
Jimmy gave two figures just now. It's 1.4 million for the...
For the permanent hard road is $1.4 million. And the general road and bridge is $1.6 million. But we only receive $1,043,000 because the other 500 and some thousand goes to the municipalities as their funds that they receive of the road and bridge funds. So
we're actually collecting taxes for the municipality.
And then it's forwarded to them.
What's the capital outlay for the 400,000?
I'm sorry, say that again?
So I assume this came from you, right? Tax levy ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, so 400,000 capital outlay under maintenance.
I did it 2 months ago, so it's tough for me to remember exactly what the capital outlay portions were. I really couldn't tell you. Right now, off the top of my head.
Well, then maybe this should all be tabled until we get the real answers.
I don't see a purpose in tabling it unless you see that there's some reason that you would want to reduce the $3 million.
I want to know what the capital outlay is. You just said you can't tell me what it is.
You know, it's unfortunate that you don't look at the packet until 15 minutes before the meeting and you can't take the time just to simply ask those questions ahead of time.
You're the roadway commissioner, okay?
Yeah, I am.
So what is the 400,000 capital outlay for?
I would have to go back.
This isn't a question from Mars.
No, it's not.
Okay.
But there's a lot of numbers.
If I can get some clarification, typically, the levy is just the instrument which funds your budget. So I would ask the board if there's issues regarding capital, those would be your items that are within your budget.
Yes.
The budget is not that.
No, okay?
Yes.
Now, well, fine, then we give a levy of 50%. Okay, and you can make do with it. You figure it all out. We're not doing check anymore. And I'm not gonna be sitting here and told, oh, well, we have to do it because we've always.
Nobody said you had to do anything. That's your opinion, that's your vote. Your one vote. Let's move on.
Yeah, we've already explained the situation of why the levy comes before the budget.
And that's not something that we decide on, is it?
Yeah, right, I agree with that, and it's not your fault.
Right.
It's ridiculous. The budget should come first and then the levy. So now we get the levy? No, we're gonna rework it this time.
Well,
And then you'll have the levy, and you'll have to fit your budget into that.
well, I would disagree. Again, your one vote, if that's what you choose to do, that's your vote. What I'm telling you is the road district, it operates on $3 million. It's a very efficient process, and I put it forward to you for that, for exact purpose. You've seen the budgeting, you've done the budgeting, you know exactly what we spend, because it's been the same every year. You know how hard we work. We've done the things that you ask, and $3 million isn't, it's money well spent. So why don't we move on? If you make your motions, do what you want to do, use common sense and do $3 million or do something silly. That's completely up to you guys. Let's move on though, because we're just going in circles here.
and you're just being an obstructionist.
Are you going to provide us the answers to these questions? The capital outlay?
To capital outlay? I suspect there's equipment that will be replacing.
What?
I don't know. It could be the plow that's 25 years old. It could be,
Look, I'm not asking you about some $20 expense. I'm asking you about $400,000.
yes. And I can tell, and I'm telling you right now that I do not recall when I put those numbers together exactly what it would be. It's that simple. I don't recall. But it's not on a line of anything that we've done for the last 10 years. So figure it out. We're not doing anything unusual here.
It's out of line compared to what other townships do. Okay.
What other townships?
Well, start with Naperville Township.
Naperville Township is complete, don't compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges. It's
Actually,
completely different.
Actually, it's pretty close.
I doubt it.
Okay.
Populations are completely different. Road uses are completely different.
Is there?
So we proposed $3 million. That's what we recommend moving forward with.
Is there a deadline for this levy, or?
Yes, the last Tuesday of the month of December.
Okay. So it has to be done in this meeting.
Could be done at the December meeting.
Jim, I guess I've got a little bit of a problem with the bridge part of that process, that McHenry or Johnsburg or Wonder Lake, they're actually asking us to tax for them. That's what it seems like to me.
You mean the road and bridge funds, and we give so many percentages back to them?
Yeah.
Yes, I wouldn't disagree with you. As a matter of fact, Mr. Anderson, Trustee Anderson and I have had discussions about that, and I made recommendations and showed him numbers and suggested that perhaps he should pursue that with me, but I've never gotten phone calls or anything else back. It's unfortunate that sometimes good ideas come up and other people choose not to cooperate to move ideas like that forward.
Well, I'm sorry that I wasn't informed that we had this conversation, because I would have been interested in doing that as well. But how do we solve this problem?
I don't think that's an issue for this point. If you'd like to have a meeting, Mike, I've called you lots of times. I'd be glad to sit down. You know that I'll sit down and talk to you anytime, anywhere, practical, of course, and discuss it. Be glad to.
Okay, if we fail to pass this tonight and did it next month, that would give us 1 month to sit down with you and discuss this.
You can come, Mike, you can come and talk to me anytime. You know
It's
that.
hard for me to come to you because...
And I called you and I said, Mike, you want me to stop by your house? I'll come and visit you.
Well, okay. Would that be a problem with you if we spent this month trying to come up with some ideas on how we can do this?
Ideas on how we can do what?
How we can cut the levy a little bit?
That's going to be a long-term process. That's a state statute that have to be changed. Is that right, Jim?
Yes.
That's not something that will be done here or done for this levy.
I'm saying rather than pass a $1.5 million levy tonight as a rash thing, that we sit down for 1 month and try to do something and come to a meeting of the minds until then. And then next month, we pass a levy that everybody will be happy.
So the purpose, what you're intending to do is to change the levy so that we're not taxing and forwarding that money onto the municipalities. Is that what your goal is? Because the simple solution to that is switch the levy to the road to the permanent hard road and reduce the road bridge fund down substantially. Because they only get their portion from the road and bridge fund. So yeah, you could do that, and you could reduce our levy. For instance, you could keep the road and bridge fund to $100,000, and you could change the permanent hard road to increase it by, what do we have in the road and bridge here? It's 3 minus, call it just for round numbers, we're at 1.6 million, you take $500,000 off and leave $100,000 in the road and bridge and put $1 million in, do 2.4 million in the permanent hard road. And then we end up with the same 2.5 million that we get annually. And then the rates would be reduced, but that money then does not go to
in municipalities, and a lot of those municipalities depend on that money as a substantial part of their budget.
Have you approached the municipalities about this?
On that particular issue, I can tell you that Nunda Township has done exactly something similar to that, and it has caused difficulties with Mchenry, the city of Mchenry, and with the city of Crystal Lake, because they've lost a lot of funds that they didn't expect to have. For instance, I think the amount that we give the city of McHenry, and don't hold me to this, but out of the 500,000, the city of McHenry probably gets over 100,000 from that fund. Does it say there? Actually, you got it there.
318,000.
They get 318,000. So if we wanted, if you wanted to reduce the levy and shortchange the city of McHenry by 300 and some thousand, you could do that.
But isn't it also true that the village of Wonder Lake and McHenry, they pay taxes into the township, so they're actually entitled to that money, right?
They do, they are, and there's some disparity. The purpose of that is to cover some of the disparities that Mr. Anderson has been harping about for the last 10 years. And when I showed him the figures and what needed to be done or what could be done, he's chosen not to move forward with it. But rather just to say, let's just abolish everything. The most efficient government in the state, we want to abolish. Doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, but have it your way.
So my question hasn't been answered. Can we spend 1 month trying to come up with something and then vote on this for next month?
But I'm not here to tell you what to do or what not to do. My recommendation is to pass $3 million.
This is a board decision, right?
Yes.
The board does not have to approve this tonight. There's no discussion and possible.
Bob, that's what I'm saying, is that we can take a month and discuss this.
I'm just telling you, you can do that.
Yeah.
You have to ask the board commissioner, he's not the board member. You have to ask the board member. He has no vote on this, it's the board.
I understand that. I'm just, you are willing to get together with us?
Mike, I would sit down with you anytime to talk about anything.
That's all I need. That's all I need. Thank you.
So then we would need a motion to table it until next month. Is that right?
That would be correct. That would be my motion, that we table this for 1 month and vote on it in December.
I'll second that motion. Any further discussion? Okay, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Rickstra?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard?
No.
Mr. Wojciechowski? No. You don't want to table it?
I would like to settle it now.
Okay.
Motion fails.
Well, the other motion's on the table. Does anybody else want to discuss it, or should we vote on it?
We didn't have a second. We didn't have a second on
I think we did, otherwise we wouldn't be able to have a discussion on it.
First was Dan Majewski and second was Adam.
And that motion was for what?
To approve the levy.
To approve the levy as presented by the road commissioner. So take a vote.
Okay, let's take a vote. Approve the levy as presented by the road commissioner. Mr. Anderson?
No.
Mr. Rickstra?
No.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard? No. Mr. Wojciechowski?
Yes.
Mr. Adams?
Yes. Oh, I voted yes to approve it.
Mr. Militello, if the levy isn't passed, what happens?
If the levy is not passed by the last Tuesday of the month of December, that is a statutory requirement that cannot be missed, and there will be no funding.
Okay. So what are the options? Why don't you tell us what the options are moving forward? levy back again next month?
Yes.
Okay.
Or
So, Mike, it sounds like if you'd like to sit down and discuss the levy and your issues with it and more explanations, I'd be glad to sit down with you. Okay? So you got what you wanted in the back doorway.
Mr. Evans.
Okay?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I recognize.
I would suggest to the road commissioner come back with a reduced levy.
I would tell you that the road district, and the highway commissioner will not come back with a reduced levy based on the fact that it's been flat and we don't have the reserves. I do not believe that we can function as a road district the way we need to at a reduced levy.
Well,
I know that's your vote, Mr. Beer. I know that's your vote. I get what you want to do. There's 4 other people on this council, or on this board, and I'll work with them if they choose to, period. If not, we'll go on from there. But you know, in the end, it is what it is. If Mike is reasonable, if Bob wants to sit down and talk and go through it, I'm glad to sit down with you guys. If you have suggestions, we'll discuss it. I don't have any problems with that at all, okay? But what I will not do is just because you want to reduce it by 50% when you have no idea what actually the road district does, and that's idiotic, and we're down to reserves, we're running on a fine line already, I'm not going to allow that to happen. If you choose to bankrupt the road district, that's your prerogative. But I'm going to do everything I can to prevent that.
I'd like to address that, Mr. Evans.
I think we're done, right? So we'll move on.
First of all, what you said is preposterous. You said you had 2 people out from some point in the past that have not been rehired.
That's correct.
Okay, so obviously, this $3 million is for full employment of those 2, but yet you...
No, actually, the $3 million isn't for full employment of those 2. We cut the staff because it was cut staff based on what you put in the budget last year that you approved.
Right, and now we're doing the levy.
And now we're doing the levy.
And the budget is going to be based on...
And the budget that was based on last year, the budget was based on not having those 2 people on our staff. We reduced the budget just the way you wanted. You told us what you were going to make payroll, and we didn't. We have 2 less people because when they chose to leave, we didn't replace them.
Well, that's your job.
Yeah, that's my job, and it's my job to determine what's needed, and what's needed is $3 million.
And we did not tell you to fire 2 people. You cut a half person at the last budget. You went down from 1 full-time to a part-time person.
We are down 2 full-time employees from this point last year, period. We're down 2
For how long?
employees.
How long has this been going on?
I'd have to go back, but I think 1 left just toward the end of the snow plowing season, and the other left in the spring.
And you've been unable to find a replacement.
We've chosen not to based on the fact that you cut our budget for payroll so much.
That's simply false.
No, it's not. Okay.
We did not cut the budget for payroll. We cut it by half a person.
Why are we arguing this?
The payroll from the year before to this year was reduced substantially. Did anybody disagree with that?
By half a person.
No, it was more than that. And we have not hired 2, we have 2 less employees right now to do plowing than we had last year.
The township let 2 people go. You let a half person go.
Our staff right now is down by 2 people from what we had last year to do
But
something.
that isn't because we cut anything.
Did you reduce the payroll? Did you reduce the payroll or not?
We reduced it by
No,
one
you
half
reduced it.
position.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Okay. You know what's going to happen? You're going to get a finite amount of money. Okay?
Right.
And then you can budget from that. Not the opposite grab bag. Okay? Where we get $3 million.
You keep on making your silly statements about how we're the problem. You make your silly statements all you want. Hopefully,
You're way overstaffed, okay?
That is your opinion. That has been your opinion from day 1.
You got people cutting trees down you don't even have any responsibility to do.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about when you came to the board and asked for permission to take on extra projects.
1 small tree because it was a township resident.
I don't know what you've been doing, Okay?
Well, maybe you should take the time to find out once in a while, stop by and see, instead of just pulling up the guys and yelling at them and swearing at them and flipping them off.
Are you saying I did that?
I'm telling you that my staff told me that you flipped them off.
I would like to know who that person is and when it supposedly happened.
Because you'll have to ask them.
Well, who is this person that narked to you?
If you would like to discuss that, you can come to my office and discuss it. Until that point, it's not relevant.
Oh, it's quite relevant because you.
Well, that's your opinion,
You
but it's
made an
not.
accusation right here, and you can't back it up.
Are you saying that you didn't do that?
Yes, I am.
I guess I'll verify that with them then.
With them, so now it's more than one person?
I believe there was 2 people there.
Were you there?
I was not.
Okay, who were the 2 people?
That's not relevant to the discussion.
Oh, yes, it is. You made
No,
an
it's not.
accusation.
If you'd like to do some legal action or to find that out, that's your prerogative. But I'm not going to put them on the stand here in the public just because you want to deny what you did.
You brought him up. I didn't. You
Regardless,
created
you want to
this
move
whole
on?
fancy-
Move on from that.
Let's move on from this.
Thank you.
All right, so where are we going?
Looks like we're on B.
Sorry, Bob.
Just for my information, we did table this until next month, correct? Or we did not?
We did not.
Motion failed.
So we're still on A then? So we're not going to vote on the levy?
You're on HB to the next item, approval of the levy for McHenry Township General Fund and General Assistance, discussion and possible action, if somebody wants to make a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'm confused. Have we taken care of A?
No.
New business?
Mike,
As a point of order, as a point of order, trustee, that motion failed to approve. The motion also failed to table it. So if the levy wants to be brought back up, it needs to be put back on the next agenda.
So by default, it just goes to next month, is what you're
No,
saying?
you're gonna have to put it on the agenda again. It's not continued.
That's what I meant, by default.
Or a special meeting held.
Okay.
Okay, then moving on to B, approval of the general township levy. Again, this is very similar to Jim's. It's exactly the same as last year. No increases, nothing whatsoever.
Did we have a motion or a second for this?
Oh, we need a motion.
we have Stan was the first.
It was a second, wasn't it?
We need a second.
And I'll second.
Discussion.
Discussion.
Well, again, what's the reserve?
The reserve funds that we just figured out today is we have about 8.5 months in reserve. And you have to have some reserve funds because, you know, tax money comes in at different times, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And
What did you say it was?
about 8.5 months reserve. That's way down from where it used to be.
And what does that figure turn out to be?
You had about 9,000.
1,431,000 is about 8.5 months. Okay.
Could you repeat that, Mr. Adams?
1,431,238 is what we anticipate being left at the end of this year.
Now, when you say end of this year, do you mean?
I mean, the end of the fiscal year.
And that is March, is it correct? Is that
Correct. That would be March.
From my discussion, whenever I came on this board, I always thought and brought up about we should be just funding mandated services. And I know that we come to the park there, and you've got that on, in this agenda.
Right, but we can't, we have to fund to maintain it and do everything rid of it. Is it an annual
Well,
topic?
if we don't approve of the levy to fund the park, then we're gonna have to have a public meeting, a special meeting, that have the electors decide if they want to keep it or get rid of it, correct? Because that's still an option, right? We can get rid of the park system.
I understand the electors agree, correct.
Right. So that is an option.
It has to be funded, doesn't it? Maintain it for safety reasons, insurance reasons, etc. And we're maintaining with less staff than we ever have.
I know we've done that, and I still.
We did that last time, so.
Well, as long as there's money that comes in a levy for that park system, it means it's gonna perpetuate something, correct? So how do we end?
Where the electors have voted to sell the parks.
No.
Why can't we force the issue by not funding it?
I think, Mr. Rappel, can you comment on that?
You still own it as an asset. You still have responsibility, fiduciary responsibility to maintain the insurance and maintain the parks. As far as what those costs are, I don't know what those costs are, but to eliminate a park funding when you still have the parks, I would encourage you not to eliminate the funding until you've gotten rid of the parks.
So then we could have a number come of what it would cost just to maintain it.
Well, let's get to the bottom of what it means to maintain it.
You're not
Okay.
recognized.
And you are not presiding officer.
And you're not
Okay,
recognized.
you haven't been recognized, but Mr. Ray will now recognize me.
There's no statute that I've ever seen that requires us to maintain any park. Maybe Mr. Motel could bring one to our attention.
I'll be more than happy to bring it bring it to the December meeting or in advance regarding any park and park liability. I think I've shared with this board in the past on the issue regarding the selling and the transfer of it. The issue before the board tonight is whether or not you want to adopt this levy or postpone for another night, or modify your levy as you have it here in front of you. But again, these are the funds that you would be receiving for next year. I can tell you that based on what you have now compared to what you've had in the past, you've significantly reduced, as a board, have reduced the funds of the township that may have had accumulation, and you've brought that down. Now it's just a function of whether or not, what does the township need in order to operate.
What I'm saying is this is pretty, we keep going down and down and down, guys. We keep spending reserves to, everything goes up, electric bills, gas bills, everything, they don't go down. So we're not asking for $1 more, we're asking for the same amount.
Well, I can tell you this, just looking at the last 3 years, looking at the 2020 levy and doing an accumulation estimation, your average expenditures for the last 3 years, for 2018, 2019, the average was $1.8 million. Your budget, your levy that you're asking for is 1.285. So you've already deficit spent
and now, which is approximately $600,000. So the 336,000 are dollars, whether you have it in the parks or you put it somewhere else. Let's say you took that 336,000 and you put it somewhere else in the town fund. You're going to need those funds in order to operate your average expenditure amount.
Yeah, we're spending down the reserves, is what we've always wanted. So this is a negative. We spend more than what we approve in our levy, so we're spending down the reserves constantly.
There's over $1 million in reserve.
There is right now, but that's only about 8.5 months, and we're gonna have to take out of that $1 million some money to, when we budget, to make everything come out.
Well, maybe you should bring to the board's attention how much is going to be left expected after this fiscal year in reserves. Because it seems to me that would be approximately $850,000 to $900,000.
You're probably correct, that's probably about right.
Okay, so.
Out of that, we're gonna have to take money out of there to supplement the budget probably, because this tax ordinance won't be enough. Tax levy.
No, I think what's going to happen is there's going to have to be staff reduction.
We've reduced staff as much as I can, Steve. I don't have anybody else to reduce. I can hardly run the place now the way it's going.
That's not an excuse.
It is, it's the truth. It's what I need to run the operation.
Or what? What? Western civilization collapsing?
It won't run because I won't have enough personnel to do the jobs that need to be done.
Okay, let's get back to the real world.
Okay.
The mandated function that the township must provide are general assistance, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So how much money do you think you need for that with some reserve for next fiscal year?
Well, I was asking for 132.9, but I probably could reduce that figure slightly.
Does that mean 10% reduction?
Yeah, I could reduce that by 10% for that, because we're not going to be doing emergency now. So.
Well, the emergency assistance is, what, 3 or 4 times what the general assistance is?
Yes, that's correct.
So this 132,000 includes the emergency assistance?
Yes, it does.
I thought we voted to not to continue it.
Well,
we did.
But my question to you was, for general assistance with the reserve, how much do you think you need for the next fiscal year?
I think I could cut that by 10% and be safe as well.
Because the 132,000 is including the emergency assistance, which is about 3 or 4 times more than the general assistance.
Okay.
So we're talking about 50,000.
Yeah, we could get away with 50,000, I think, and that's fine.
Okay. Now, I've asked repeatedly how it is that the assessor's office has the same number of employees as Algonquin Township assessor's office. But that assessor's office has twice as many parcels.
She sent in that email for you to call her or email her.
And she would explain the answer.
I gave you a copy of that.
No.
She was very specific.
Well, she chooses not to answer these questions.
She said she would.
Criminal Appeals, you have to give her a call or email and she will answer your questions.
Those questions for you.
Then she can send me an email to explain it then. Okay?
Okay, we'll ask her to do that.
That's what she replied to
There's
your
nothing
email.
further I have to ask.
Okay.
How is it that McHenry Township's assessor's office has the same number of people as Algonquins who have twice as many parcels to assess?
Okay,
That's the question.
okay.
And there's no explanation.
She said she
She
didn't.
said she would if you would
There's been
email
no
your
explanation
question.
forthcoming, okay?
It will be forthcoming.
All right, so, just say we keep the assessor's office as it is,
Okay.
which seems to be something wrong with the efficiency. Okay? But just for argument's sake, how much money does the assessor's office need for the next fiscal year to maintain itself in its present state?
Just whatever.
See, these other townships break it down.
It's right here, that's what they need,
Yeah, okay,
for 16,000.
all right. Now, the elected officials' salaries for the next fiscal year are going to be significantly reduced.
That is true.
So that's going to be another mandated sum of about, what, 150,000, what'd you say?
No, I wouldn't say it's that much.
Well, right,
It's just
because they're
under
not getting
100,000.
the health benefits.
Right.
We'll just say 150,000. Well, it's 45, 45, 45, and the clerk another 10, right? Something like that. So about 160,000.
It's probably about 100,000,
What did you get?
just about 100.
I think it's just about 100 more.
Well,
But
right,
you're
but we're
reducing
paying.
it to 45.
Yeah, but we're paying half of the road commissioner from the township, right?
That is correct. So that we're looking at about a $30,000 reduction for each position.
Right.
So 30, 60.
It's about 100,000.
About 100,000.
Okay,
122,500, Mr. Milton just came up.
all right. Now, but Mr. Militello says we must maintain the parks. I don't know what that means. Maintain it how? In the style it's been? Or some minimal amount? I don't think we have to continue things as they have under some kind of a status quo that continues to the end of time. We're in the middle of a crisis. It isn't just caused by COVID, it's the whole thing. It's a tax crisis that every taxpayer is getting choked.
But they can do more with less.
Mr. Adams, will you please control the crowd?
Yep. Crowd, please, no comments.
So, I want to know what the minimum amount would be for this maintenance of the park.
It's what I have down there right now. We're manually maintaining the parks as it is. We're cutting the grass, we're maintaining it. We're not doing anything extra.
We don't have to cut the grass.
You're gonna let the grass grow 10 feet high?
You have to.
You have to cut the grass.
You gotta cut.
You gotta cut the grass. You can't just let it go one hand.
Well, I want to know what we have to do, okay? You can't tell me that 336,000 is what one must spend. There's got to be some reduction in that.
How about I go back and rework this and we bring it back next month?
That's satisfied me. See it reworked.
So what we're really talking about is something like 800,000, not 1.4 million.
No, it wouldn't be that much less. What are we at, 122? 50, that's what? 170? What's 170? And then 1.2. That's a reduction, and we're still gonna be spending down.
But we don't need all the personnel and administration.
Yes, we do. I don't have any extra personal administration, Steve. I have HR, and Debbie, a receptionist, and the operations manager. That's all I have. I have 5 people total, including me.
Well, your salary isn't included in that, right?
Well, I guess it would be in personnel there, so that's where we take that down. Under administration. So I can come back with about 1.268. And so there would be a reduction of what? What is that, Mr. Milton?
The new figure is 1,268,000. That's what I got.
About 15%.
Minus this.
So like that 50,000 for contingencies under administration.
That's,
It's a 10.5% decrease.
That's over 10%. That's a pretty big decrease. Contingencies administration, some legal bills have come out of there recently. We just don't know what's going to happen. Other things, contingencies, furnace breaks down, we gotta repair it, gotta replace it. That, a lot of that stuff cannot be foreseen.
Maybe the township has too many buildings.
That's a question for another day. This is, we're working on this right now. So a 10.5% reduction, what if I come back with that, gentlemen? That's significant.
10.5?
10.5%.
The contractual services under administration.
Those are various contractual services that we have.
There could be a larger reduction once Steve talks to Mary. If Mary decides to cut hers.
That would be up to Mary.
Right, that's a possibility.
Right. That's between you and the board, I guess. So do we want to table this till next month then, and then bring it back with the reductions I propose, and plus we'll see if Mary has any.
I'd make that motion.
I'll second, although I would like to add one thing that
Sure.
we've established that at least we'll have a 10.5% decrease and could go lower if the assessor's office.
Correct.
And it could go lower too, with a figure coming off of the parks if we get down to minimum maintenance parks too. There could be
But I still need that to minimally maintain the parks. I only have one, what do I have?
For what?
In the parks, I've only got 2 full-time people and 1 part-time person. That's it. That's all I have.
Are the parks even being used now?
Yes, they're being used quite a bit.
Are they gonna be used after this weekend and the whole lockdown?
Well, I don't know, but people are tired of being inside, so they're going using the shelters. They're being used constantly. And the senior center is meeting with people there in small groups to do activities, etc. So that's their being used. These people has been doing literally out there.
Whispering Hills is being used too.
I'm
Apostles Church by myself, including all the trimming. I do believe with that piece of equipment we just purchased last year, that could be done by one person. And
There's lots of maintenance to be done, though, too. You know, maintenance of fences and buildings, and,
but I'm just saying,
And that's all.
but I had other accounts that I was doing as well. So it's not like I was.
I understand what you're saying, but there's more, we weren't doing maintenance to one of Apostles' buildings also. And the Parsons doing maintenance of buildings. It's cheaper than going outside and hiring an outside contractor for a long shot. We should, because my brother used to
Actually, that would not be true because I was making a lot less doing that.
But, not me, my part, guys don't make that much money, so. So anyways, you're back to a 10.5% reduction. And then whatever Mary might be willing to offer. I think we have a first and a second on that.
Let's vote.
Let's take the roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong? Yes. Mr. Adams? Yes. Mr. Bird?
Yes.
And Mr. Andruski? Yes. Okay, there we go. We'll bring it back next month.
Who was the second? I only have a first.
Mike.
You sure?
Trustee Rakestraw was the second. Trustee Rakestraw was the second.
Thank you.
Okay. Letter C, update on emergency assistance. I can give you that very good. There you go. I gave you something last month. As of the end of October, we still have $5,673 to spend, okay? Out of what was budgeted of $50,000. So that will most likely run out before December, before the end of December. So. And once we arrive at that figure, we will stop doing emergency assistance. Okay?
I make a motion that we accept what was on letter C, and that we proceed to the end of the year with the program.
Okay. I have a motion that we to accept letter C and to continue to the end of the fiscal year with the program, or until we run out of money.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second.
Could you reread the motion back?
The motion would be to continue emergency assistance until we either first run out of money or till at least December 31st. Whichever comes first. Because we're going to run out.
Well, what's the status of the first half of the month of November?
I have 9 in process right now.
We're still in processing mode of that.
So that looks like that'll be the end of it right there.
Could be. Could be.
You don't know.
Could be, depending upon what happens.
Depends upon what they need, what happens, what they bring in, what they don't bring in.
All right, so what's the general average of emergency assistance?
800.
So it's actually much more than general assistance.
Well, it depends. I just use the family. So it can be anywhere from 500 to 800.
The general assistance, you have to understand, could go on, it usually goes on more than 1 month. So
Oh, yeah. Emergency is definitely more than general assistance.
it costs more, yeah. But I only get it once in 12 months.
Correct. General assistance is ongoing. It could last for years.
Thank you.
Okay. So I don't know, did we have a vote on that?
Get it first and a second.
Yeah, first and second, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong? Yes. Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Andruski?
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes. Item D, trustee Anderson has to move a resolution to conduct a referendum that would enable Mchenry Township voters to consolidate the Mchenry Township Road District into Mchenry Township for the April 2021 election. Discussion and possible action.
First, I'd like to thank you for putting on the agenda, Craig.
You're welcome.
I do have a motion to read here. I move that the McHenry Township Board, by resolution, submit to the McHenry County Clerk a proposition to the electors of McHenry Township for the April 6, 2021 consolidated election to abolish the McHenry Township Road District. The McHenry Township Board of Trustees and Supervisors shall assume all taxing authority of the abolished McHenry Township Road District, effective 90 days after the election. And this year, I have a question with the attorney. When I read what you said on your what you said about the resolution, it seems to me like the last time of the 90 days, it should have been or when the highway commissioner's term expires. Am I right on that, or should I strike that out of the motion?
I believe that's correct. The statute that you're referencing says it's 90 days or the date, the term of the highway commissioner when that position expires. So in 2018, you would have been looking at the time when that position expired. That's not the case here.
Okay, so I should strike that out of the motion, is that what you're saying?
Well, first of all, you don't want, if the position of the board is to put the question back on the ballot, then the question should be the same question as it is in the statute and not veer away from that. So okay. Otherwise, it becomes an issue.
So I should strike or when the highway commissioner's term expires. Is that what you're saying?
No, what I'm saying is that I don't know what you're looking at, reading, but the board has the resolution, which was similar to what was used last year, and so that resolution, if you want to adopt that resolution, that would be the resolution to adopt.
So that was just effective 90 days after the election?
It would be 90 days after the vote certification by the governing election authority.
Oh, I don't know, but do we have a new road commissioner?
That position would take place. It's from the date of the election.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but the date of the election, you'd have a new road commissioner.
No, you would not get. You don't become the. So when the vote is.
You're right. I get it.
Okay, so then what I should, as Jim, would be effect 90 days after the certification of the election?
No, what I'm asking is if you would like to pass this resolution, which you have.
Which is just to make a motion to pass this resolution.
Correct.
Just to pass the resolution.
Okay. So then I'll take back what I just said to them. And so my motion is to pass a resolution that Mr. Military has presented here.
And I'll read that so it's into the record, but it's the resolution that everyone has. It's resolution number, whatever the township puts on it. A resolution to place proposition on the April 6, 2021 consolidated election ballot regarding abolishing the Mchenry Township Road District. Whereas Section 6-134 of the Illinois Highway Code 605 ILCS 5/6-134 authorizes the Board of Trustees of any township located in the county with less than 3 million inhabitants to, by resolution, submit a proposition to abolish the road district for that township to the electors at the general election or consolidated election. And whereas Mchenry Township is located entirely within McHenry County, Illinois, and whereas Mchenry Township Road District is a single township road district located entirely within the township, and whereas the Board of Trustees, the board of the township hereby finds and determines it to be in the best interest of the township
and its residents to submit to the electors the question of whether to abolish the road district. And whereas if the road district is abolished, all the rights, powers, and duties, less its liabilities, obligations, responsibilities of the road district shall vest and be assumed by the township 90 days after vote certification by governing election authority. Now therefore be it hereby resolved by the Board of McHenry Township, McHenry County, Illinois as follows. 1. Section 1. Recitals. The preambles, recitals of the resolutions are hereby adopted as it's fully set forth in herein. Section 2. The proposition. A proposition shall be placed on the ballot and submitted to the electors of McHenry Township in accordance with the general election law at the April 6, 2021 consolidated election in the following form. Shall the road district of the Township of McHenry be abolished with all the rights, powers, duties, assets, properties, liabilities, obligations, and responsibilities being assumed by the Township of McHenry? Question mark, yes or no, that's the question. And then section 3, filing of the resolution, section 4, severability, section 5, repeal. So that's the resolution before the board.
2 questions, if I could. Is that
a second?
Well, before we go any further, I need to have a couple things clarified. Is this, all that information you just read off, is that going to be on the ballot?
No. The only thing that would be on the ballot is under section 2, the proposition, the question. The question that would show on the ballot would be the same question that was on the ballot in 2018, which is, shall the road district of the Township of McHenry be abolished with all rights, powers, duties, assets, property, liabilities, obligations, and responsibilities being assumed by the Township of McHenry? Yes or no? That's the only question that would show up on the ballot.
Okay, now, another question I have is, if we abolish the road district, how do we establish who's going to be running the district after that, once we assume it?
John, I need to weigh in on this. We would have to hire some kind of public works foreman, or public works, whatever you want to call them, to run the road district. So it can't run by itself. So.
Can we get a second so we have the discussion on this? Because I got a few things I want to say to go into this.
Second. Okay, first and second.
So go ahead.
That's what I want to say.
Well, could Jim be hired on to take over the duties that would pertain to the road district?
He certainly could.
So here, the reason I've supported this in the past, and the reason I want to bring it back again, I've read out certain things I put together here. And one thing that...
Bob, take your mask off so we can hear.
Illinois Township Road Commissioners are independent of township government. Why should McHenry Township Road District be eliminated and consolidated into McHenry with all rights, powers, duties, property, liabilities, obligations, responsibilities being assumed by the McHenry Township? The Town Board of Trustees is not the boss of the Township Road Commissioner. The road district is a separate unit of government with its own tax levy. The town boards cannot tell road commissioners how to run their office. The board has no authority over how the commissioner maintains the roads, nor who they hire to work, nor over the firing the workers. The property tax levy is set by the road commissioner, who certifies it to the county board. Unlike other elected officials which have to answer to the board, the township commissioners have almost unlimited powers of spending public money and with very limited oversight by an elected board of its operation. The elimination of the township road district will be a positive effect on eliminating one of Illinois' nation-leading 7,000 units of government. Other powers of the township road commissioners are intergovernment agreements, contracts, hiring political consultants, hiring political family members, use office for political gain, expansion of road miles, lawsuits, hiring and firing of employees, salary and benefits, purchase of equipment and machinery. At the November election, the voters abolished 3 township road districts. One was Elk Grove Township. Another was Bloomingdale Township, Ela Township. Why did Bloomingdale, I looked this up after the election of Bloomingdale. It says, why did the Bloomingdale Town Board put the question of abolishing the road district and consolidating with the township on the ballot? Number one, the road commissioner and the road district employees in the operation are separate from the township board of trustees and the township supervisor. Number two, contracts entered into the road district are not subject to review or approval by the township board of trustees and the township supervisor. Three, new laws, regulations, policies, and procedures of the road district are not voted on or approved by the township board of trustees and the township supervisor. Four, the geographical boundaries of Bloomingdale Township Road District and Bloomingdale Township are identical. Whatever was said there is exactly what we got here. The township boundaries are exactly identical to the road district. And I think that we have a number of meetings here that have been discussed is that this board really has very limited, extremely limited powers of how the road district is operating.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
Discussion?
Discussion, further discussion?
Yes. These three road districts that were eliminated on November 3rd with in the last election. Two of them, Bloomingdale and Elk Grove, I believe, conducted their own cost-benefit analysis, and it would be much cheaper for them to abolish it and take on the function rather than have the separate entity. Ela Township, which is not that far from here over in Lake County, got rid of their road district in November 2 for the same reason. I think part of the problem was the Bloomingdale road commissioners indicted in a couple of federal criminal complaints. And the board finally put its foot down. Things that have been going on for 20 years. So there is a movement of people finally waking up and understanding that they need to consolidate all these layers of government in Illinois, which has the most governmental layers of any state in the union, and the tax consequences that go along with that. This particular township and county, Mchenry, is the 22nd highest property tax county in the United States out of some 3,300 counties and county equivalents. So something has to be done. We were elected on a platform of tax revolt. Mr. Adams can control the
audience, please.
and finally, there's some elected officials that are going to practice what they preached and accomplish what they said they would. And I think this is a measure that it's already being done all around us. So it's just a matter of time. How many road districts were eliminated in Lake County because they couldn't get to the 15-mile minimum? Was it 3? Maybe Mr. Condon knows.
I'm not sure why that's even relevant to this discussion.
Yeah, it's relevant because we live in a heavily urbanized area where these townships in non-rural areas just don't serve any particular function anymore. Okay, it's you know, it goes back to why all these other states got rid of townships in the 30s and why 17 counties in Illinois in the 1930s got rid of townships entirely and completely function. Okay? So it's not something that can't be done. Iowa did it, Michigan did it, and 17 counties in Illinois did it. Indiana just got rid of all their township assessors 10 years ago. So this is a trend where people see the savings
and the crushing taxation to support all these excess layers. So I wholeheartedly support it and give the people a vote.
Okay. Any other discussion?
May I say something?
No, you may not. Who is this? Where is this?
Stan.
Oh, Stan, I'm sorry. I thought it was somebody.
I was here too, you know.
Go ahead.
First of all, I have a question. This would be a referendum, and is this an advisory referendum or would it be?
It's binding. It's binding.
It would be a binding referendum. Okay. The question I have is there's an appeal going on right now for another referendum that has failed, that is still being pursued. So unlikely, but if that referendum is successful, we're going to wind up with two referendums in April. One to abolish the township and one to consolidate it. So which one's it going to be?
No, you can't bring up the abolishment of the township for 23 months at this point in time. So.
Well, yeah, I understand that, but these other three trustees are still paying a lawyer to appeal that decision. The sum of $25,000 at this point.
Stan, you have no idea of what the ruling would be from that court. Okay, they're not saying if they ruled in favor of putting on the ballot, you wouldn't know when they're going to put it on. You're assuming it could be in the same election. You don't know anything what happened about that. That's a court decision, not yours. That's just an observation.
You're looking at two separate referendums. You're trying to get onto the ballot at the same time.
This one has a specific ballot for the April 6th election. This is specific.
So
what's in the ballot court is not specific at this time.
So if it's not specific, what's it all about? What's $25,000 being spent for? What's the purpose of that? I mean, we're sitting here fighting about $450, but you're throwing away $25,000 and counting. And I just say one more thing. I think you made a fine speech here trying to consolidate this, but I think the road commissioner should put his 2 cents in. I think we should, before we vote on this, we should get both sides of the issue. Would you care to say something? I mean,
he has no right to say anything.
What's the pros and cons of all we hear is what he's got to say.
See, he's not a member of the board. He has no right to be speaking here.
But he's got the expertise as to what's going to happen if this referendum passes. I want his opinion. I want the pros and cons of this before I vote on it.
Mr. Evans, I'd be glad to answer his question if you'd like.
He has a question and we'd like you to answer it.
That's fine if you would ask it. You're running the meeting.
If you look at the budget of what the road district is, you're going to hire somebody to manage that budget. That budget is a $2.6 million budget, and you're going to hire somebody that's similar to a public.
You're too close to it. Yeah, just move back.
You're going to hire somebody that's similar to a public works director, and you're probably going to pay him over $100,000 a year for that budget. So that's what you're going to do. That's the consequences of it. I have the good fortune of being in this position, and a couple things were said about how you have no oversight. I think we've come to the conclusion that you have a lot of oversight when you look at the changes that you made to the budget, when you look at the discussions that we've had about the levy. If you choose to participate, you have a lot of input. But if you choose not to participate, then you still apparently have a lot of input because you control the budget, whether you say you do or you don't. So I don't believe that to be true, that you don't have any say. I can't tell you the things that do happen under this structure. decisions can be made rather quickly. As an example, we have North Boulevard, North Avenue, we were granted a $142,000 grant through the CDBG grant program of the county. We originally did the plans in a certain fashion. We had $142,000. We estimated the project to be less than $200,000. Because of various items, it came in at over $400,000. We then, you were fortunate enough to have an engineer that knows a lot about roads, and the engineer completely redid the plans on his own, and we'll be coming in at probably closer to $170,000 to get those two roads upgraded. So those are huge benefits. That would have never happened. There was a timeline, and decisions had to be made instantaneously on what to do. When you bring it, when you manage by committee, things become very inefficient. The structure that you have here, where you have input on asking the questions about the budgets, that's a very good level of input, whereas you still allow the person to make decisions. And remember, that person is re-elected every 4 years. He's voted on every 4 years, whether he's doing a good job or not. So I think it's a very good balance. That's the other side of it. And I don't know about perhaps previous highway commissioners, but I think this highway commissioner has been open to any suggestions that you've made, and is always willing to sit down and discuss things with you. If you've chosen not to do that, I wouldn't say that that's the highway commissioners or the road district's fault for that. Okay? So the upside is decisions can be made very quickly, and I completely disagree that you don't have any oversight when you look at the things that you've done with the budget and the things that you're proposing to do with the levy. I think you have a lot of feedback. It's unfortunate that it's been a combative relationship instead of a cooperative relationship, because you've chosen to be that way. So that's it.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question to you, Craig.
Yes.
Does the township road district have a board?
No, they do not, but you do have input on a lot. You do have input on the budget.
Do they have a board?
They do not.
Does a road district, any road district in the state of Vermont, do they have a board?
No, they do not.
Thank you. And that's what the issue is about. All the hiring and firing, the board has no input about that. We had a situation here at one of our meetings that we wanted to, at the budget hearing, that we decided that we're going to share some of the costs of the insurance increase to the employees. Our road commissioner said, I'm out of that. He walked out of it. Our road commissioner went ahead and got involved in the lawsuit, saying that House Bill 348 was unconstitutional. That was all on his own. All those things should come from a board. A board should make a decision, not any one person. That's what the issue is here. And I think what we need to do is have this, get a positive vote here. Get this out to the public, and hold some hearings here, let people know exactly what's going on here. And have some public hearings and let people realize that, you know, we have a unit of government here. Most people don't even know there's two different units of government, two different tax levies. And they really don't understand that a road commissioner basically operates without a board. Tell me any unit of government that operates where there's not a board overseeing the commanding person. That's the issue.
Bob, can you answer me this? How is this going to save the taxpayer any money?
The issue is...
Well, we're talking about money. We're not talking about power here. I'm asking about money. I mean, you were elected to save the taxpayer money. How is this referendum going to save the taxpayer any money?
You weren't listening to what I said.
I was listening.
No, you weren't. I didn't say one thing about money.
Well, that's why I'm asking.
I didn't say one thing about money. The issue is that you have a unit of government that operates without a board. And if
I understand your issue, but I'm asking you about the money. How's it going to save? Is it going to cost more or is it going to cost less?
That's not the issue, Stan. That's not why.
Well, I think it is the issue.
The debate about the money's issue. The issue here is a unit of government operating without a board. And this law was made and put on the books for people to have a choice at an election to move that forward and change that. That's what it's about.
Mr. Adams, if I could be recognized.
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Stan, the three townships that just had the vote less than 2 weeks ago to eliminate their road districts and to consolidate them with their township boards, the money was the big issue. And you can go to their websites and they'll show you exactly how it was a cost-saving operation and why it's 3 for 3 as of November. And I believe there are going to be 7 or 10 more of them coming in coming elections. So it's just a matter of time.
But you also mentioned that in these other townships, there was a problem with the road commissioner.
Yeah, one, in Eula Township, which is less than 40 miles away from us, sitting here now, which is approximately the same population, road mileage and everything else, decided that it was quite a cost savings and it carried by about 70%, 65, 70%. So when the issues were presented to the electorate, that's what happened. Okay. There are 3 road districts that will no longer be in existence in Illinois.
Well, then I guess we'll let the voters decide then.
It's always going in the other direction. New road districts and new townships are not being created. They're being slowly whittled down, just like Evanston Township was, where for 25 years the township existed. There's a road commissioner with 0 roads, but he was getting 70 grand a year. For what? In these heavily urbanized areas,
That's not true.
we do not need townships. What do you mean not true? Evanston Township doesn't exist anymore. The same goes with Belleville Township.
We have a road commissioner with over 100 miles of road. I understand what you're saying. If you've got a road commissioner with 0 roads, then I would have to agree with you.
Ultimately, the towns are going to become bigger and there'll be more incorporation of the roads, annexation. So the road districts, townships themselves don't make much sense in heavily urbanized areas. Okay? And these 17 counties that got rid of townships in their entirety back in the 1930s, you know, put their foot down then, and they existed just fine. Iowa, Oklahoma, I mean,
We've heard this.
we're the slow pokes, okay? And we have the tax bills to show it.
Okay, I think we've had a lot of discussion on this. Can we move to a vote?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, no. Mr. Bear?
Yes.
Mr. Wojciechowski?
No.
Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to the next item. Attorney Militel asks for approval of case number 18 TX6 2017 tax rate objection complaint. Discussion of possible action. We previously discussed this, people, and he has in here this is regarding case number 18 TX6. It's a case that's been pending. It's regarding an accumulation case. There's been some discussion about accumulation, about what that is. This is a case regarding Mchenry Township and the settlement amount of $6,500 in the order.
So I make a motion that,
I'll make the motion.
okay, thank you. We have a second to the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. I don't know, do we need any discussion on this?
We asked for it, but
Oh, I'm asking for it.
I don't go for the same.
Okay.
Oh, you should
Well, I would like
you should
to,
ask for it.
I would like to thank Jim Militello for doing a good job in taking this case on and getting a conclusion to it.
Okay. So with that, I'm going to call the question. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Rakestraw?
Yes.
Mr. Adams, yes. Mr. Beard?
No.
Mr. Wojcicki?
Yes.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, gentlemen, next item on the agenda, which I guess misplaced. Oh, the approval of setting compensations. There was a typo in the original compensation thing that we set. It had the assessor, her term starts January 1st, 2022. We had 2021 in there. Everything we're asking, nothing else has changed. We're just asking to clarify, to change that date because it was incorrect date, that's all. Many people looked at it, we all missed it. So
So I'll make the motion to go ahead and pass pass that resolution with the correct setting
okay,
of dealing with the date for the assessor, which is what, the 1st of January when that office takes over?
that's correct. It just takes over at a different time.
Right, yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, any discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
This correction of a scrivener's error doesn't affect the effectiveness or the legality of the resolution, does it?
No, this is affecting the assessor and the timeline for the assessor. It is only affecting the January 1st instead of 2021, it should be 2022. And the ending date is December 31st of 2026. Nothing relative to any of the other dates and information has
No,
changed.
it's December 31st, 2025.
No, that would change.
No, that's not right.
January 1st of 2022.
January 1st of 2022, but our term is in December 31st, 2025. December 31st, 2025. Because then the next term would be January 1st, 2026.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a 4-year term, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So if she starts January 1st of 2022, it would be December 31st of 2026. 4 years.
22, 23, 24, 25.
December 22, 23, 24, 25.
That's correct, yes.
So it is correct, correct? Okay.
And this is just another anomaly of township government that originally, I think this was because it allowed the assessors to get qualified before the end of the year, right?
No, I think what it really was for was for them to finish the appeal process that goes on before a new assessor took over.
So just for clarification, the only date change is that 2021 is changed to 2022. That's the only date.
That's the only thing so, any other discussion? That's just as a clerical error.
Well, maybe a dollar sign should be put on that.
There is. On the assessing?
Yeah.
It is. It's the second page. On the second page, it says, assessors effective salary, that date was changed to January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2025 for $45,000.
Right, but it's missing the dollar sign on the second page.
Oh, okay. We can add a dollar sign to that. Okay, is there any further discussion with that? If not, let's have a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Yes. Well, the section 2 has to be changed then too.
Section 2.
So what he's saying, the above elected official will not receive health insurance effective starting May 17, 2021. And, you could say, and January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2025 for the assessor.
Okay. Did you hear that, Steve?
Yes.
Is that acceptable?
Yes.
Okay. Any of those changes? So now go to roll call. Mr. Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Armstrong?
Yes.
Mr. Williams? Yes. Mr. Byrd?
Yes.
Mr. Andrewski?
Yes.
Okay, passes. I do this every meeting, guys. I put my agenda somewhere where I don't know what I did with it. Any other business to discuss tonight?
Well, I know that I'm a clanging bell on this subject, but we're talking about the cost of keeping up the facilities here, and I still think that there's got to be a way to help offset some of the cost for this by charging or raising money from the people who use the park facilities. And if we could do that, that might solve a lot of problems with that. I would ask Mr. Condon to please look into it. Is there any options that we can use to raise money to maintain the facilities?
Well, we could start to charge again for our shelters out there, the shelters. We used to in somewhere along the line, there's some while, I don't know where. So that'll increase the revenue now. That's one thing I got to stop ahead.
I'm not in favor of letting the facilities go.
Right.
And so if we can raise money from the people who are using it,
Sure.
baseball, soccer,
Sure.
skiing, whatever it is.
Well, we do charge for baseball, we do charge.
But I'm saying we've got to find a way more than that to offset the cost.
Right.
So,
We're doing the most.
and I'm willing to work
Sure.
at that, to get that accomplished.
Thank you. Okay, my supervisor's report, Rebecca?
You got Jay.
I forgot Jay. Post agenda is your next one's board meeting.
I have one.
Okay.
I'd like to have something on the agenda, or I'd like to propose forming some type of a committee to hold public meetings on the subject of the resolution that's passed this evening about the consolidating the road district into the township. For discussion, possible action.
Now, Mr. Miltoff, help me here. Can the board have public meetings and say that they're in position of a certain way to do this?
The board can't actively put a committee together to support or not support a referendum issue as it would pose against the ethics ordinance that is not only adopted by the township but by the statute.
You could have public meetings on your own somewhere, but
No, this would be an educational process to inform the public of some of the things that read off, the power of what the road commission's got.
I think you'd be advocating, it's your opinion, you'd be advocating as a trustee that.
Then I would think that a committee could go over that, to do that. You cannot use public funds to promote.
Right, you as.
I'm not asking to promote a yes or vote, I'm asking to propose a committee that would educate the public on the subject.
I don't think Mr. Miltoff.
That you could do. You can do fact-based information, providing facts regarding a specific issue, but you can't take and use taxpayers' money for ethical issues and
for the proposition for or against. So
Understood.
it's a very fine line.
So you couldn't just say because it goes down a board.
So
You know what I'm saying?
the issue that you run as a township board is going down that path and trying to put factual pieces out there and teeter-tottering on that line where it puts you at risk. And I would probably encourage you to watch that line.
But even the township, they put out a road district referendum, frequently asked questions. That's what I'm after?
That's different than, and it depends on the question and what's being.
Correct. And I think that would have to be run by a committee of people.
I've seen that in other
discussion.
I've seen that in other units of governments where the bodies try to let the taxing body and the electors know what is being asked of them and the factual information regarding the question before them. But once you start to move toward a for or against a position, then it blurs that line.
That would not be my attempt.
So you have to provide both sides of the story. That would be
Well, factual, you don't want to argue pros and cons, I mean, you want to provide factual information.
Well, some of the questions that would be on here, what is a referendum? How do I vote on this referendum? What does it mean? Well, yes, but there's different things out there that have been done.
Those are all factual pieces that actually the statute refers to, so those are FAQs that you certainly could use.
Thank you.
okay. So I'll put on the next agenda, committee to hold public meetings regarding road district consolidation.
Thank you.
Any other issues?
Yes, for the next meeting, a report by Mr. Militello.
Can't hear you.
A report by Mr. Militello as to what the minimum maintenance would be on township property, like the parks, the buildings, and so on.
So, absolutely, I can provide you as far as what the legal authority regarding that minimum maintenance, but I think that the better question is going to be from the township standpoint, that what does it take for the township to maintain the properties? And I don't know. So, do you have to maintain insurance? Absolutely. Are you going to have to cut it? Absolutely. What that costs is, I don't know what that's going to be. So I don't know where those numbers in, and as far as what that personnel is going to cost. So, do you have to maintain it? And I think the point was made earlier that to what extent and to what level, the question is as a board, what level can you do and maintain the property to a standard that it provides safety, that it's insured, and that it's usable to the township standards. Whatever that word, you as a board, that's a policy decision for you to make.
You should give all the trustees a weed whacker.
There you go.
And a shovel.
No, but it's minimally maintained now, I can tell you that. You cut the grass, where you have to, address the balustrades, etc. Their maintenance, it's not what we're not doing anything extra.
The township is a governmental body protected by the Tort Immunity Act, right? So it isn't the same as a business open to the public or even a private homeowner. We're immunized from our own negligence, correct?
Tort immunity does protect from negligence, but when there's issues of beyond the negligence, then
You got willful and wanton misconduct and all that, right? Okay, so I don't think we engage in that in the township.
again, it may be more constructive for the board. Again, my only issue as the attorney for the township is to make sure that the board can take leeway with adopting certain things along the way. One of the most critical, time-sensitive issues is the levy. And if that's not adopted by the second Tuesday of the month, or the last Tuesday of the month of December, there is no funding, period. What I would encourage, if this board thinks that there's issues relative to savings in kind of reversing out and using this levy as a budgeting piece, then what I would hope that instead of having being stymied in the December meeting because somebody could be sick, and if you're sick, then it doesn't get passed, then you don't get the funds. So I get nervous about that, just because one, not only do you have to have it passed, but then you got to get it on file with the county. And so again, I guess my point is that if there's better use of the time, if there's issues regarding what those monies should be for, whether it is the park or some other position, not that the board wants to have any other meetings or Zoom meetings or anything like that, but to have some idea as far as what those expenses would be so that you can pass this levy, because it is an important piece for the township.
Yeah, and it was done in all the 3 prior years in December. It was never done in November.
Well, I don't disagree, but I can tell you this, that because of COVID, because of the social distancing, my concern, Ken, is that you get dates that are, you don't want to have a whole lot of dates out there depending on something, and then a trustee being sick and not being able to attend, then you don't have your majority, your quorum in order to have the meeting. December's fine, but all I'm suggesting is that if you get to that December meeting and then you think you're going to have another special meeting in order to pass it, just be careful, because something could happen where somebody gets sick and the meeting doesn't happen, and that the last day of December is the Tuesday date is a very critical date. That's all I'm saying.
And Census could come back with this 10.5% reduction, which is a big reduction. So that's what I'm going to do, right?
I don't know what the assessor might.
Oh, if the assessor would do something, yeah.
Let's open it.
Well, it's not really up to the assessor. Okay.
Well, I think it might be. I think the assessor has the authority to decide how much staff she needs. I don't know. Am I wrong, Mr. O'Donnell?
Again, she brings a number and she gives it to the board, and she justifies the number, and then it's then up for the board to either approve or not approve that. Again, if the board doesn't approve it, then she's going to be limited to the numbers that she has, and if she has issues with it, then there's other areas that she can take that issue with.
Like what?
She can raise it with the board again and say that I needed more money. Is there any other way that I can get funding for what she needs?
There's not anything that we can do here tonight, so let's just move on.
Okay.
Supervisor Adams, we also include on the levy for the road district. I'm sure Trustee Rakestraw said that he'd like to sit down and talk that over, so I assume that we will also be bringing that back again.
Sure. Alrighty. So now we're moving on to supervisor's reports. You have those in your packet. We're having a great deal of calls for help with their bills because of COVID. As you can see, I think we got 300 some calls this month. It's getting very hard to manage, but we're doing what we can. So there's definitely a need out there, as you can see. All right.
Well, what, I'm looking at your chart.
Mm-hmm.
You have amount dispersed, and then there's underneath, this is the first page of it, not the Salvation Army part, but it says med distribution, what is that?
I'm sorry, what are you asking me about what?
Under GA,
Yeah.
at the very bottom of that column, it says med period this.
Oh, that's medical distribution, which is a separate distribution under GA. if they have medical issues, we have to pay for those. We haven't had any.
Has the township ever given any medical?
Yes, we have. There was a case where one lady had cancer, and township is on the, you know, you can try to get them on Medicaid, but that takes several months. So in the meantime, we're responsible for their medical bills. So yes, we have to have one.
So the township becomes the insurer?
Basically, yes. So that's why that's there, so we can see that. We haven't had any as of late, no. But in this kind of environment, could happen. What if somebody, you know, qualifies for general assistance and gets COVID, is very ill, and has no insurance? We're on the hook.
Well, the hospitals have to take them.
Correct.
So,
But according to law, we're on the hook for their medical bills.
so basically everybody that gets denied general assistance gets emergency assistance?
Not necessarily everybody, but the majority, yes.
But nobody ever applies for emergency assistance by itself, right? They're first rejected, that's why it's 18 were denied general assistance and 18 got emergency assistance last month.
Correct, you're absolutely correct. They get rejected from GA first, that's the way it has to be done. They first have to, they qualify for that as the first thing. If they qualify for that, then they don't qualify for emergency assistance. Okay?
All right, so looking back to September of this year, 17 were denied general assistance, but only 13 were approved for emergency assistance. So, but there weren't any denials in it. So what happened to those 4 people?
Maybe they didn't choose to apply for emergency assistance after the general assistance. That's what I could say.
But it's harder to get general assistance than emergency assistance, right?
Correct, but they might have applied for a general and not gone any further. See what I'm saying? Decided not to go any further. I understand what you're asking me. They could have just, you know, they may not have followed up and just not done anything.
Well, then there's people voluntarily take themselves out, but there's no way to tell that from this.
No, there isn't.
So maybe there should be an added, so we can figure out what's really going on. An added column, or actually one.
It's not going to be tracked anymore.
There's no,
EA.
we're tracking it as much as we can track it. I mean,
They may not qualify, they may have already gotten it, they may not have had emergency need.
Oh, they may have already gotten general.
No, they may have already
Emergency
gotten
assistance
emergency
already.
assistance.
from some other source.
All right.
We just can't track anymore. We're tracking everything we can.
So why are these figures all the same for the last 3 months? The same exact amount dispersed, but in October 4 people instead of 3 like the other months. I'm just trying to work.
I understand that. I would have to ask Debbie that. Debbie,
What?
there was, in August and September, there was 3 people that are qualified for general assistance. And
General assistance is a set amount every month.
correct. But then when we get to October, there's a 4th person qualifying. It's still the same amount dispersed.
I may not have dispersed it yet.
Right. There's your answer. Because it may not have dispersed.
Or maybe they were terminated, I don't know, I'd have to look.
Okay, thanks. I'm just trying to understand it.
It may not, let's say those 4 are still there, Steve. The 4th one may not get any money until the November period. Okay?
Okay.
say something?
I would. Maybe we can end on a positive note for a change. We've been at each other's throat for a while, so maybe we'll be positive for a change and share some good information. Steve, you asked me how many employees. There's 15 employees besides myself, full-time employees. So you're right, I don't get that question asked every day, and I have so many other questions. Maybe I should know that off the top of my head, but I don't remember it all the time. We used to have 17, we're down to 15 now. Okay? Some interesting things that, I'm going to take this off if you don't mind. Interesting things, non-dedicated roads that were brought into the township. We have completed the construction for Shalimar, Orchard Beach, Heman subdivision, which is a big project along the river, just north of Mchenry there. And we actually, because we did a lot of the work ourselves, we saved over $170,000. So it's kind of neat. We're starting to do a lot of that fun stuff. As a dorky engineer, that's the kind of fun stuff that makes this job worthwhile. East Pistaki Bay Association, which is the regular road and the two roads out in that direction off of Bay Road there. That project's completed and we saved over $65,000 there in work that we did ourselves. Mineral Springs and Emerald Park. We reconstructed Fair Oaks subdivision, 3 roads there in Mineral Springs this past year, and we saved over $25,000 there by doing the work ourselves, a lot of the work ourselves. So we're doing a lot of neat things there. So sorry about that. The next thing that I want to touch on was, which I mentioned earlier, North Boulevard, North Avenue. We estimated the project to be somewhere around, I think, $175,000, less than $200,000, because of various reasons it came in at over $400,000. And there was time constraints in order to use the funds, so we had to have money spent by a certain time. And we actually redid the whole thing. The guys are still doing a lot of work out there, but we got the portion of funds that needed to be used by the end of September used. The road got paved, storm sewer under the roads got put in, and now we're out there finishing up the project, putting additional storm sewer in that. And again, that saved us over $200,000. So those are some kind of neat things that we're doing there. Another highlight that we found out this year, or recently, is, I know I have it in here somewhere, is you had asked a while back, when is ComEd going to change the light bulbs to LED? We did find out this last month here that they plan on doing that next year. And that should save us about $2,000 to $3,000 a month in lighting costs next year, or not next year, but the year after. So when they say next year, hopefully it'll be before the end of next year, but you know how ComEd can be. So that was some good news of what's coming up. One other thing that I really wanted to share with you, which we had some training on today, we are switching our salt from a regular plain salt to a treated salt. The benefit for it is we can use 35 to 50% less salt, and the cost is only about another 15% more. So from an environmental standpoint, it's kind of neat. It's a much better alternative, using much less salt, and this is cost savings for us. But what I found really interesting, and I brought a sample of the salt with us, a couple things that happens with this salt is when you look at it, it looks like sand. So some of the municipalities that have tried it, they throw it down and the residents start complaining, how come you're not putting salt down, you're putting sand down. So when you do see that, toward the end of this year, we have a full salt dome of regular salt, but we've ordered, I think, 2,000 tons of this treated salt. After we go through the regular salt, then we'll start using this later in the year. But so if you get any calls that we're putting down sand, we're not putting down sand, we're putting down treated salt. It just happens to be the same color as sand. It's much more efficient. It will work down to 45 degrees below, negative 45 degrees it'll work. It'll actually, it's got all kinds of benefits. One of the things that I found really neat though, and I'm just going to pass it around and take a smell of the salt. Just listen, smell it and see what it smells like. Pass that down.
Jim, has anybody done a study on this new salt?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
No, as to its effect on fresh water.
The product that they put in there is very similar to the product that we're using before, it's just more efficient. So we've been pre-treating, putting it on right at the spreader as we dump it. This is actually put into the salt, so it works a lot more efficiently. And it doesn't have any negative impacts, if that's what you mean, compared to what we were doing before. No. One of the main ingredients in here, a funny story is, one of the main ingredients in here is rum and vodka. Most of previously it's been what they call beet juice. It's a sugar product that they put in there to help activate that salt to get it to work. Well, this product actually uses a byproduct from the rum and vodka production. From what we understand. If you smell it, it smells like a brown sugar or a molasses or something like that. So if you smell that, that's what I thought was kind of neat to share with you, something different that you'll see in the future. But it's much more efficient, and again, if you're in this business and kind of dorky engineer, you get excited about that kind of stuff. So, but that's another thing that we'll be doing to save some money over time. And other than that, we finished our recycling. You saw our list of recycling that we did this year. And we're getting ready for the snow plowing. And thank goodness we didn't have it in October 31st like we did last year. So anyway, I'm glad to answer any questions, and hopefully we end on a little more of a positive, collaborative note tonight. So, okay, thank you.
Okay, with that. We need an executive session tonight, right?
We do or don't?
I don't have any, I don't think we do. Okay. Board members, do you have any 1-minute comments?
From the alcohol, yes.
Okay, without that, then I'm going to call for adjournment. Do it first.
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Do a second.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have first and second to adjourn. So,
Thank 51.
just so you know, we revised the resolution already for before we adjourn for the 4-year term. To put in also that about the assessment.
Okay.
And January 21st, 2022 is for the assessment. Okay, so that's done. Okay, we had first, second, and adjournment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None being heard, we are adjourned.
Hey Bob, I have a question. You keep talking about that lawsuit that the road district filed without a board, but there's a board here. When did you guys vote to file that appeal? When did this board vote to file that appeal? That's what I thought. Yeah.
The vote never was taken, therefore there's no authority. So I guess they're paying out of their own pocket.
Yeah. So.
That's what he's doing.
But I have a question about correcting this resolution. Is that a replacement?
I said if they're old, we're not at all worried about paying them a private wage for a done. Right.
Good night.
Does that amount to be removed?
I explained it, but he didn't understand.
We were just modifying the old resolution.
Okay, well, I just didn't know if that was effectively replacing it.
No. It's just a clarify. Seemed to make it logical. All right, so we'll get to see you after. I need yours, Mike. This one here.
There's one I didn't find.
I just told him that, and he looked at me like, I think go ask him.
Are you getting closer? Okay.
And you haven't signed this one.
But now when we go vote, we're going to be able to vote for 3, correct? Yes. We can still vote.
Yes.
Did you shut everything off?
That's why it makes no sense.
I know.
You guys have a very nice evening.
So,